Thanks, Jolene, for being able to spend some time with us. Those that aren't familiar with you in the audience today, I'm sure would love a quick 30-second intro about your vast experience so far in the world of healthcare and helping startups.
Well, it's really an honor to be invited back, Jerry. I'm quite passionate about everything wellness and everything healthcare. And thank you for including the last presentation. My 97-year-old mother is suffering from dementia. So too many of our loved ones are plagued by this disease. Well, I have had a 30-year journey into this, started one of the very first corporate wellness companies. Since then, I've been invested in as an impact investor at VectorPoint Ventures, as well as very integrated in education and the angel community. I recently spoke at the Angel Capital Association Summit, and today I have the pleasure of attending Life Science Washington. But as someone who's passionate about moving this Titanic forward, namely the healthcare organizations, so that patients really receive the best standard of care as easily and gracefully as we can. I'm very honored to speak today on a subject near and dear to my heart.
No, wonderful to have you on, Jolene. And you've got such a diverse background across the life sciences, as you mentioned, consumer wellness, and of course, digital health, which is what we're gathered here today to learn about. What do you see as sort of the biggest barriers sort of currently holding back the innovation in digital health? And of course, from an investor's perspective, what's the role of early stage investors in breaking those barriers?
Well, to be quite blunt, given the current research grant funding cuts, access to capital is quite challenging. And there are those of us in the investor community as well that organize events, invest, and we're concerned about how to collaborate as quickly and seamlessly as possible, whether it's just strategic resources, advice, connections to other groups, connections to and opportunities to speak at events like yours. We really need to, it takes a village. We really need to connect. But when I talked last night to one of the leading angel group VCs yesterday at Life Science Washington, we're seeing a lot of investment into tools, digital tools that will enable workflow between the healthcare organization, the patients, and the clinicians. And that really needs to advance quickly. But I do believe that there is a lack of infrastructure in place, whether it's access to broadband in some of our rural communities, as well as just change management practices and even cybersecurity preparedness. So it's a whole host of tools that we need to enable to move us forward in this digital age. And as an investor and as a concerned citizen and a volunteer for over 30 years in nonprofit boards, I can tell you we're all invested in it. And don't think that we can't each individually make a difference. We can.
No, absolutely. Some wise words there, I think, for everybody in our community to certainly take on board. And you've got a really unique perspective, Jolene. You've been both a founder and an investor. And with those specific sort of perspectives and those viewpoints, how do you evaluate whether a digital health startup is really going to be truly transformative and break those barriers versus, just sort of a hyped tech overlay or a broken system?
Well, first of all, every CEO thinks that they have something that will change the world, but the impact really becomes, will it be adopted into practice? Will it be commercialized? Will it become standard of practice at the healthcare organizations? Will patients use the tool? So unless it's used, there's little impact. So that's one of the main deal screening points that we look at. Frankly, have they engaged someone who's an expert, whether it's the CEO or some external advisor or board member who's had the experience of building a company, a digital company, and having that integrated into standard of practice? That's really key. Who's driving the bus into adoption? Some organizations, the really smart ones, are doing impact studies. They're very expensive, but that's really to determine, will this device be used? And that's really the important thing. Can you commercialize, and how quickly will this be adopted into standard of practice? Will it integrate into workflow? Does it require extra time and labor cost for the healthcare organization? Those are all really key factors. So not to discourage people, but if you don't know how to evaluate your company, I suggest that you get involved with an angel organization or an accelerator or something at a university where you can really practice in front of pros who will give you seasoned advice. Sometimes the advice is worth more than the money.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a good trade-off in terms of the different types of benefits and stuff, and some really good advice there, especially for the founders that are on our program today. And just to wrap up, Jodie, we always have a limited time on these programs to speak with you, but we'd love to hear about, you having worked at the intersection of wellness, clean tech, and healthcare, how you see digital health right now sort of evolving to support, of course, treatment, but also holistic preventative care across various different industries and also communities.
Well, I certainly would love to see improvement into measuring the wellness data. So for someone like me who started out that wellness journey 30 years ago as a patient, we know that different tools, whether it's Tai Chi, yoga, massage, acupuncture, there's a sound healing, there's a huge host of tools, but do we have data to provide the proof that that works? Until that data becomes integrated into standard of practice, we will not see insurers cover that by and large across the US. And that's really important. Even I today, 30 years later, as a patient, am required to pay out of pocket. I look at the ounce of prevention as worth a pound of cure, but we need to provide the data. So if we can't measure it, we can't change it. So there are a number of wellness tech devices that I look at, but I'm looking at something in the neural space. We recently invested into a company called InMedics, and I lead the wellness initiative. And so that will be measuring how stress affects the immune system, and we hope to go on into wellness. That's really, really an important tool. But it's important for all of us to become educated in terms of, heart rate variability. How do we use wellness tools or measure wellness in terms of predicting stroke early on and predicting disease? I think we've got a long ways to go, and we're on the right path. But again, data is the holy grail.
Yeah, and I think something we can definitely get behind at HITLAB, seeing as most of our work really does revolve around making sure that there is really good evidence and data out there to support the improvement and the development of all these different technologies, especially with the evolution of these different technologies and stuff. Jolene, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your insights with us as always. Definitely love to continue the conversation offline with you about this, and I'd encourage everybody else in the audience today to connect with Jolene via LinkedIn. I believe we put Jolene's link there to her LinkedIn profile, and there's definitely some encouraging emojis and some wonderful words of encouragement there and agreement with you in the chat as well, Jolene. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Jerry. And thank you for everything you're doing.